Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on just a bunch of DC news that's been slapping us across the face. So recently we had James Gunn reveal via social media that him as a singular person at the very least, won't be at San Diego Comic-Con this year, which most likely means DC Studios as a new thing won't be there either, which means that there won't be any major announcements from DC in regards to James Gunn's DC Universe at Comic-Con this year. Not sure whether movies like Blue Beetle, for example, will be there or not, seeing it comes out like a month after, actually less than like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks after Comic-Con. But James Gunn has nothing to do with that movie. Literally nothing to do with that movie. So there is no real need for him to be there, even if that is something that's going to be showcased. But yeah, due to James Gunn not being there for a main appearance, no announcement should be expected around that time. Whether that's in regards to more castings for Superman Legacy or the other DC projects in that early portion of the new canon that's coming our way, or simply just announcing new projects as a whole. Now, when that happens is another question. There is a lot of people calling for another DC fandom to happen, maybe later this year or early next year, especially because the reason they're not going to go to Comic-Con is because of the writer's strike. So once that's over, can they organize a fandom to get the news that they want to get, out there. And the thing with DC fandom is that while the first one was very successful and most fans enjoyed it across the board from beginning to end, the second one was a bit of a dud. They didn't handle the second one better. They should have done it in the same format as the first one with better announcements and just mainly the format as well. But the second one, yeah, most people didn't really enjoy it. And that's, sort of what led to there not being a real rush to do another one the year afterwards. However, there is New York Comic Con later this year and also CCXP, I think it is, in South America. So things could be announced there, but that's a wait and see. I'm sure James Gunn will be sure to let us know what the hell is happening. Or he could just announce new projects like he did the first time, where it was just a YouTube video that went up from DC and he revealed all the stuff there. So that might be what they do for the next slate of announcements. I mean, it fit with what he did before, so that might be what happens. But just because, there's no Comic-Con, at least major appearance at San Diego Comic-Con this year, that doesn't mean there isn't any rumblings and, rumors going around in regards to more DC news and information. And in this video, we're going to go over the latest rumors from pretty reliable sources. But in the comments section, do let me know, do you want DC fandom to return, especially just for this year or maybe early next year, because there is no Comic-Con presence, in a large sense for DC? Do you want that? Because Disney, I don't know if they have D23 this year, but if they do, maybe that's why their focus is going to be on, like, that's where they're going to focus. So would you want DC fandom? If so, would you want it like an in-person thing but also streamed online, or just like the same format that we had for the last 2 times, just like an online thing? But of course that was the case because of COVID. So if they can do in person, I'm sure they'd rather do in person and make it some sort of event. But would you want it to return, or just leave it be Comic-Con is where they do stuff mainly, and then like New York Comic Con CCXP is like a bit of a side piece? But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, as well as any other opinions on the stuff we go over in this video. But yeah, there are 3 properties to talk about, or 3 potential things coming our way. Well, actually 1 that we know is coming our way with some information, and then 2 like rumored things. So the first one is briefly mentioning something we already talked about in its own video, and that was that Flash spin-off Rogue series. Now, I did a whole video on that, going into the extensive detail, in-depth discussion about it. But pretty much this is a series that will be focused on the Rogues from the Flash. So your Captain Cold, your Heatwaves. No specified characters announced, but you'd expect Captain Cold at the very least to be in there, and maybe Heatwave is like the main duo, maybe, or at least Captain Cold at the very least. And this would be like a heist sort of series. Now, emphasis on series, that means it'd be on like HBO Max. So yeah, it's not a movie, but obviously, we know the Flash is going to get recast. You don't see Ezra Miller. I don't think anyone sees Ezra Miller continuing, especially with the box office results. So this would be like our first footstep into the Flash world of James Gunn's DC universe, which is pretty exciting. Whether it has the Flash in it or not is another question. They could have references like a literal streak of lightning run past, and that could be the Flash there, rather than having to confirm an actor. But this is rumored for Chapter 2, which is like maybe 4-5 years away from starting, so long way away if it is for Chapter 2. But this is pretty exciting. But I do have a whole video where I give my theories on what they can do and predictions and stuff, so I'll link that in the description down below if you want to go check that out. The next thing to talk about is Superman Legacy. So we know that David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan were cast as Superman / Clark Kent and Lois Lane respectively. Great castings, very excited to see how they go about it. David Corenswet does give me a very Christopher Reeve type vibe, so I'm very excited to see what they do with him. A lot of people like keep making these fan art things of him, like give him black hair, because I think they might dye his hair black. I have a feeling they're going to dye his hair black. That's what they did with Christopher Reeve back in the day. He didn't have black hair, he had brown hair, but I think they might dye his hair black to make it very, very Christopher Reeve-esque, but we'll wait and see. But if you're making a fan art, do one with black hair, because he might dye his hair black. But anyway, so with Superman Legacy, Lex Luthor is a big thing, and apparently Lex Luthor screen tests are up next in the coming weeks. Now, of course, because you've got the writer's strike and there's all this like the Screen Actors Guild potential things going on, so that can affect the casting process. I don't think that's gonna like be too much of an issue if they get it sorted out in the next couple of weeks, but if it takes longer than that, then maybe that could be an issue, but that's a wait and see. Now, a lot of the rumored, casting or the rumored things for Lex Luthor are the Skarsgård brothers of Alexander and Bill. Bill obviously played Pennywise the Clown in the It franchise. So they're up for it. I don't see Bill Skarsgård as Lex Luthor. I just look at him and go, I don't see that. To me, that doesn't really stand out to me. But I can see Alexander Skarsgård maybe doing it. And I think Nicholas, whatever his name is, Nicholas Hoult. That's his name. Nicholas Hoult. He's another thing. He was up for Superman, but it could also be up for Lex. I could see him playing Lex. But I don't love any of the choices here. I could just see two of like the three. So Nicholas and Alexander playing it. But they don't stand out to me at the very least. But Lex Luthor's all about performance and everything like that. Anyone can shave their head and look bald, if that's what they're going to do. But it's all about your performance, and that's a wait and see. You know, sometimes you can't see certain people playing Lex, and then sometimes they're shown up and they do a really good job. So we wouldn't know until we see a screen test or just them in the actual movie. And apparently they're also circling a choice for Jimmy Olsen. Not too sure which angle they're going to go for Jimmy Olsen. They could make him like 18-year-old, 19-year-old sort of like intern sort of thing, or they could make him like the same age, if not maybe a bit older than Superman and Clark, and maybe make him like a bit more on the age of like Lois, because they might make Lois a bit older. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with Jimmy Olsen, and I'd like to see them make Jimmy Olsen more of a relevant character, because I must say in Superman media, at least on screen on like the movies, he's never been that big of a character. Like, he's been there, don't get me wrong, but he's never been like a ridiculous focus, and I wouldn't mind him being a part. It's not just Superman and Lois, it's also Superman, Lois, and Jimmy. So that'd be pretty cool if they did that and make it a bit different. There are also casting calls being sent out for Perry White, and they're looking for a black actor, or black actors, might I say, over the age of 50. Obviously, Lawrence Fishburne did play Perry White in the Snyderverse or in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Don't think he was in Justice League, can't remember at the very least. I was trying to think of who a good fan casting would be. For some reason, my mind went to Courtney B. Vance. If you know him, he seems like he might be able to play Perry White pretty well. But yeah, you know, it's James Gunn's movie. I'm sure whoever he picks will be a good choice. But for some reason, when I saw like they're looking for a black actor over 50 for Perry White, I know my mind went to Courtney B. Vance. But anyway, maybe that's a terrible casting. You might have to let me know. Also, a Middle Eastern dictator role is being cast, and his codename is Brokim. And this isn't anything from the comics. It's literally a codename to cover for something else. Obviously, this could be like a Middle Eastern dictator sort of character from the comics, or it could be like an original character for the movie as like a minor thing. It could be like literally an opening scene thing that Superman's dealing with, or it could be a main role. Probably not going to be a main role, but just could be someone that's playing a part in like one like opening mission or a minor mission that Superman has to deal with throughout the movie. That could literally be what it is. And also Eve Tessmacher, which I think had already been sort of talked about being in this film, will be an open casting, so they're not looking for anyone specific. It's going to be like, could be someone that's known, that's been on TV for a couple of years, or it could be a complete unknown that comes in and takes the role. Once again, don't know how big the role would be, so they might give it to a newcomer, but it also matters how much Lex is in the movie as well. That's a big question mark. And the final thing to talk about, or the final project to talk about, is another rumored thing in development, and that is Wonder Twins. Now, the reason this is interesting is because it was already in development a while ago, and they cast actors for it. Like KJ Apa was going to play one of the Wonder Twins from Riverdale, and they got cast. It got confirmed this movie was happening. A script was done, and I think it might have been less than a week after they announced the castings that it was scrapped and that this wasn't going to be a thing anymore. So yeah, a Wonder Twins thing. Now, the reason Wonder Twins is interesting, and it was even interesting back then when they announced that original one with KJ Apa and the likes, is that it is a bit of a weird thing. Like, it's Super Friends, Wonder Twins are in there, but it's like a weird DC property that you wouldn't think would be at the top of the the pecking order. So it's very surprising to see that this would be in the play there. I don't know where the angle would come from and where it would play into. Like, is it going to be its own little solo thing? Does it connect to anything larger? Or is it just meant to be a fun sort of like, you know, tapping on different genres sort of thing? Like, it's meant to be this fun, like very contained, not overly contained, but sort of contained comedy type of thing. I don't know. It's a bit like, I find Wonder Twins a bit weird. Like, I don't mind them, but they are a bit like weird within the DC universe, which itself is already pretty weird. But yeah, I mean, I think James Gunn would probably be able to put together a pretty interesting Wonder Twins idea. But I think you'd probably go for some sort of like, almost get like a very like comedic, you know, cast and crew around that to do something there. But yeah, Wonder Twins. Or you could do like some weird take on it. You could do some like darker take on it potentially as well. But yeah, I was very surprised to see that. And reportedly, like the Rogues, this will be likely be a part of Chapter 2, which once again is like 5 years minimum away. So yeah, it's you know, maybe once they get like the DC world established after Chapter 1, that's when they start dealing into more maybe niche things. And it wouldn't surprise me if this is a series. It doesn't say whether it's a series or a film. The one that was scrapped was a film, the one with KJ Apa, but there's nothing about this. So because it is Wonder Twins, it is a bit of a harder thing to sell. I could see this being a series on HBO Max, or Max, sorry, as it's now being called. I don't think it'd be a film, but it's not, you know, suggested here what it's going to be, but I'd assume it's going to be a series. But yeah, Wonder Twins. Weird. What do you think? But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be awesome. Could drop a like on it, show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this. Do you want fandom? Thoughts on the Superman Legacy stuff, Wonder Twins? Looking forward to the Rogue series as well. Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.